Amid appeals for the government to explore more mass transport options, one proposal promises to take commuters to new heights. Introducing cable cars, the first of its kind in the country and in Asia. In a statement from the Finance Department, the French government is willing to finance the project. The proposal costs $100 million or more than 4.5 billion pesos. Once it pushes through, the aerial ropeway transport will link Santolan, Eastwood, and Pasig. And to tell us more about the urban cable car system proposal, joining me now is French Ambassador in Manila, Madame Michéle Boccoz. Excellency, good afternoon and glad to see you on the show.
Good afternoon. Glad to see you too.
Madame, the sky is the limit with this proposed urban cable car system. What makes this mode of transport a good option for the Philippines? It's a fairly new concept in the country.
Yes, it's a fairly new concept. And actually, it's an idea that came already some years ago in 2016. And it was a proposal from Secretary Tugade to use cable car. There were different options he could propose among other transport modes for this particular project. And of course, France has a strong know-how and a history of transportation in general, and is very willing to support policies and projects aiming at building more efficient and also sustainable infrastructure. And I think sustainable is very important in the current context.
Of course.
This project actually will reduce travel time for thousands of commuters every day, but it also will reduce road traffic, and it will save more than 10,000 tons of CO2 emissions every year. We think that this project is really an optimal solution. Capacity, light footprint on the ground, able to fly over natural and urban obstacles. And it's a revolutionary project. It's the first time that it will happen in Asia.
Right.
There's no urban transport by cable car in Asia. They are tourist project, but no urban cable car.
Madame, so development planners say cable car systems are better suited for serving communities in hilly areas. How was the Santolan Eastwood Pasig corridor selected for this project then?
Well, you're right. I mean, this is a project that will help serve communities, and particularly vulnerable communities. You know, the first case was happened in Medellin. You remember Medellin in Colombia? That was a very, very underprivileged city and communities. And the first project was to link a very, very underprivileged district to the rest of the town. So it completely changed the structure of the town. It completely rebuild the social fabric. And I think that this is really a very important factor also in helping the connections in Manila that can really change the lives of thousands of people.
Right. Madame, you mentioned that cable car systems are supposed to be more economical and cheap modes of transport. But how can that be sustained in our country where the cost of electricity is among the highest in the Asian region? And how attractive will fares on cable car systems be compared to rates charged by jeepneys or buses or trains, for example?
Well, actually, this is a project that is that's not really used much energy. You know, it's a very, very cheap. It's a mass transport. You can really transport a very large number of people. The traffic studies that you can probably transport around 50,000 people per day in the long run. It is much less costly in energy than buses, than trains, you know, and it can connect also with light modes of transport like bikes or jeepneys or buses. So it creates, in fact, it articulates to a large number of other transport means, but it is much cheaper. And it utilizes much less energy. So even though the electricity might be expensive, that is not going to be really an issue in terms of how many people you transport, and the cost per passenger is going to be extremely low.
Okay, that's good to know. Madame, at a cost of $100 million, that would mean around $22 million per kilometer. That is near the high end of the average capital cost range of $10 million to $25 million incurred in setting up similar systems in Latin American cities. You mentioned Colombia a while ago. Why is the cost high in our country?
Well, this is a very interesting question, and I mean, Colombia chose that mode because depending on your geography, some other means of transport are completely impossible. Because it would mean, I mean, for example, digging for tunnels for the metro or whatever is extremely expensive. Right. It provides a quality infrastructure, and it means it is cheaper in the long run. I mean, the project, for example, this project will go along the Marikina River, where there's a lot of people that have no transport or no access to quality and quick transport. You cannot really start building a road or a rail or dig for tube stations along this river. But the technology allows you to have very light footprint on the ground and to be able to build for really a long period of, I mean, you would really have a saving over the long time.
Right. With that, how will this cable car system be integrated to existing transport modes in the areas it will cover? And where exactly will the stations or loading, unloading points be located? How many such stations will the system have?
It is part and parcel of the Department of Transport master plan. A study has been done with a feasibility study has been done and shows that there can be a number of connections and the connectivity would be good. It would be, for example, easy to access and interconnect from the existing LRT2, and it would be also connected to the future MRT4.
Okay.
And and so that would allow really interconnection with the network. And as I said, there would be also a station next to the stations for bicycles, and you can also have space for Grab or other means of transport to interconnect in a variety of ways.
Okay, Your Excellency, thank you for your time and glad to see you on the show. Speaking to us was French Ambassador to the Philippines, Michéle Boccoz.